Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of season 2 of the Random Album of your review. For those of you who do not already know, I'm Larry,
And I'm Brian.
and the way this works is each week we alternate choosing an album for the other person to listen to for the first time in its entirety, because Brian and I have known each other for a very long time, and we've heard each other's music plenty of times. We get on a camera, we talk about it after we listen to it. We give a new listener's perspective, an experienced listener's perspective, get both feedbacks from both sides, and we do it again next week.
Yep.
It's easy.
Like clockwork.
Like clockwork, 9 to 5, we're here. Let's go. So Brian, this week, I selected...
You did. Indeed. You very did just like that.
So, I selected Led Zeppelin 4, but kind of uncommonly known, the actual title for the album is just nothing. It's an untitled album.
Oh, yeah.
It is the fourth studio album from English rock band Led Zeppelin, releasing November 8th of 1971.
My dad's older than that.
Your dad is older?
Yeah.
By how much?
September.
Dang, he's got a month. No, 2.
Yeah. 2 months.
Maybe a month and a half, maybe less. Anyway.
Perhaps.
After lukewarm reaction to their previous album, Led Zeppelin III, the band decided to stray away from the series of albums and leave their fourth album untitled. Although in the years since then, the album's release, it has commonly been referred to as Led Zeppelin 4. The record label really disliked the idea of releasing a completely untitled project. It had no wording on the cover, nothing to identify it by, no artist credits. The label referred to it as being a career suicide. Because they thought it was just going to be released and then nobody would be able to talk about it, because how do you talk about it? You don't.
Yeah. Hey, look, have you heard the new project by Led Zeppelin called...
Oh, bro, have you heard... Hey, man, have you heard the new album?
Yeah.
Bro, you should really listen to... That's crazy. But yeah, they're basically worried that the album would go so under the radar because nobody could talk about it. And, well, we're talking about it almost 53 years in the future now. So, I don't know. Maybe they were onto something.
Maybe.
Just maybe. When it was released, the album entered the UK charts at number 10, rising to number 1 the following week, and it spent a total of 90 weeks on the chart, not at number 1, just as a whole. In the US, it was Led Zeppelin's best-selling album, but it did not reach the top of the Billboard chart here in the US. It peaked at number 2 behind There's a Riot Going On by Sly and the Family Stone. And the week after was number 2 to The Family Stone and Music by Carole King.
I don't know who any of those groups are.
So. I don't either, if I'm being honest.
People are, so.
Maybe I should. Maybe that's... Actually, I do know who Carole King is. Let me rephrase that.
I don't.
Do know who Carole King is. Haven't heard that album, though. But
We'll look her up right now. Or them up, rather. I don't know what they are.
Why
is your tab so small?
At one point, it was ranked as one of the top 5 best-selling albums of all time. The album is one of the best-selling albums of all time, with more than 37 million copies sold as of 2014. And in 2021, it is tied for the 5th highest certified album in the U.S. History, being 24 times platinum.
24 times platinum is absurd.
That is, like...
Holy crap.
It is up there with, some of the greatest albums of all time in terms of sales, and up there with, like, the Eagles' greatest hits, Thriller by Michael Jackson. The albums that very, very, very frequently come up in the discussions, and this one is no stranger. The The album was recorded between December of 1970 and February of 1971, just a couple months actually after they released Led Zeppelin 3. They released Led Zeppelin 3 in the summer of 1970, and then instead of touring for the album, the band members decided to forego touring in order to write the next album because Led Zeppelin 3 didn't really it wasn't received very well. They were kind of being referred to as like industry plants and just making the same music over and over. So they wanted to go away from things and make their own.
Away from doing that,
Yeah, and
or
again, that's
yeah,
why they released a completely untitled album. Very, very bold move.
yeah.
They chose to record the album at a historical country house called Headley Grange. It's in Hampshire, England. The informal nature of the recording site allowed the band to try different arrangements of material as well as creating songs that sound vastly different from the next, as well as their previous works. The guitarist and producer of the album, Jimmy Page, later recalled, "We needed the sort of facilities when we could have a cup of tea and wander around the garden and go in and do what we had to do. This relaxed environment atmospheric this relaxed atmospheric environment at Headley Grange also provided other advantages for the band, as they were able to capture spontaneous performances immediately, with some tracks arising from the communal jamming that they would do at the house." And
Cool.
admittedly, that sounds like a good time. Just chilling out at a country
Yes.
home with your boys, jamming,
Yeah.
and going, wow, this actually kind of sounds good. Let's record this right now.
Yeah.
Let's just like go inside real quick. For 10 minutes, we'll be done. All right.
Cup of tea, you know.
Cup of tea, maybe some baked goods.
Nefarious substances.
Actually, it's funny. It's really funny that you say that. Jimmy Page also talked about there was actually no leisure activities. There wasn't a bar. There was no substances, and it would kind of just let them focus and be kind of ready to play whenever, basically, because again, everything was kind of really spontaneous. It was just kind of feeling things out, and if they liked the way something sounded while they were just playing in their free time, they would go to the other band members and say, "Hey, listen to this. Does this sound good?"
Ah.
So getting just a little bit into a few of the tracks. I'm not gonna go into any of the lyrics. Just gonna touch on some of the big points or the big facts in the background of some of the songs. So Black Dog, the opening track. Black Dog is named after a Labrador dog that wandered around the studio at Headley Grange while Led Zeppelin was recording. The song is about Robert Plant lamenting about a failed relationship with a gold digger, a classic,
Classic.
all-time classic.
Never heard that one before.
Never heard that one before from a rock star or a celebrity or a musician. Never, ever, ever in the
Kind of
history.
does suck for them, though, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, of course. If you're, with somebody and you think, things are real, and then you find out that they're just with you because of the money or because of the fame, that's a big hit
Yeah.
to the ego. Even as a celebrity, that hurts.
Like they don't like you. They just like you for what you do.
They like you for the fame and the money, man. They like you for
Yeah.
the actual like object of it, not
Yeah.
for the love.
People aren't materialistic. Shut up.
Come on, get it together.
There's a reason why there's a term for both that type of people.
Although the title was inspired by an actual dog, the term black dog has often been referred to negative emotions, and I don't know if you know hellhounds, what hellhounds are.
I've killed a few.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this like an hour ago. What am I kidding?
Yeah.
Zombies, yeah, of course.
Yeah. You killed a few too.
But they're a mythical creature, and like the actual lore behind hellhounds is you essentially sell your soul to the devil in order for like a short return. So like, for example, hey devil, I want to sell you my soul in order to be with the woman that I love. Okay, yeah, I can do that, but you'll only have 5 years to live. And then 5 years later, the hellhounds come for you, and well, yeah.
Or that's been like that's probably been done as a trope already, right? Like a drama, like a show trope, right? Movie trope, maybe.
Like
I feel like it
selling
had
your.
to have,
I mean,
right?
yeah, it.
Like the whole like for example, right? The movie it don't have to be romance, but like whatever. You sell your soul, and then like the whole movie is like when that day comes, instead of like accepting it, you're like the guy's like trying to fight back and like I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't expect it to be like this. You know what I mean?
I can't think of a specific movie like that, but it's probably something similar's definitely been done where like you have a countdown to the day you die after
Mm-hmm.
making a deal or something. Something
Yeah.
similar's definitely been done. I know they also there's at least a handful of episodes from Supernatural that have
That are similar to
hellhounds
that.
in them, and
Oh, okay.
you can even see because they're referred to as crossroad demons in that show. You have to sell your soul at like an actual like crossroads in like the middle of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
a dirt crossroad,
Yeah.
and then they at one point the two characters like actually one of them sells their soul and they have to fight the hell. It not getting into Supernatural. There's 15 seasons of it. Go watch it, okay?
No.
I'm not gonna talk about 15 seasons of that show. All right?
I won't listen to
Yeah, and it understandably so, admittedly.
it. Anyway.
Um, back to Led Zeppelin. The song's iconic guitar riff was considered hard to play even by Jimmy Page, who, depending on who you ask, one of the greatest guitarists of all time. This
Oh, Larry, what do you think? What do you think of Jimmy Page?
I'd say is one of the greatest guitarists of all time.
All right.
I would say so, but this may partially be because the riff was written by the bassist John Paul Jones. It is written in the time signature of 9/8, while the drummer John Bonham is playing in 4/4, which for
And
anybody,
eight, is that faster or is that slower?
it's faster,
Okay.
and it also means you're adding an extra note in
Yeah.
there because there's only supposed to be 8 notes and there's actually nine. Music is very strange. Anybody who understands what I just said, you understand that that's difficult to play. While the beat that you're supposed to be following
The
is being
beats 4 and
played in a
4.
different time signature, I can't imagine playing that song
I mean,
live.
yeah. I mean,
Playing that song at all, really.
looking at the numbers just make it kind of insane. Like 9/8. Like obviously.
How do you do it? How do
Yeah.
you do it? I honestly, I'm gonna look up a live performance after this and see how he does it. So then we go on to Rock and Roll, the second song on the album. This is a song about the band wanting to get back into, uh, well, rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Um, it uses several rock and roll elements as if they wanted to make the claim official. Reportedly, Led Zeppelin used to warm up playing Little Richard's "Keep a Knockin'," great song, by the way, if you haven't
I
heard it.
don't know that song.
And John Bonham, specifically the drummer of Led Zeppelin, he would jam out to Keep a Knockin' by Little Richard. And when he was jamming to the song, he created a bit of a melody that he liked. He brought it to the band members, and that's where rock and roll was born. Well, the song, not the genre.
Yeah, that's where rock and roll started.
That's when it started. All the people before him that were rock and roll artists,
They're fake. They didn't claim it to be real. They have a song called Rock and Roll.
um, so the song also has its roots in its solo. During the recording of Led Zeppelin 4, the band was suffering from a serious case of writer's block, which led to a lot of frustration. Guitarist Jimmy Page got on his guitar and he was venting on his guitar, just shredding, and unintentionally he played the very aggressive solo from Rock and Roll like during his vent, and the band was there when he was venting on his guitar. They heard him play it and they were like, "Wow, wow, let's use that." Again, on this nature of so much of this album just kind of being opportunistic and not really planned out fully, and everything just kind of coming on a whim from the heart.
Yeah, very spontaneous album, which I mean, very cool.
I like it. It's very nice. I
Mhm.
skipped the third song on the album. We're skipping to Stairway to Heaven, the fourth song. I mean, if you haven't heard it, are you what? Are you under a rock? Have you
I've
like
never heard it before.
really?
Probably in passing.
I was gonna say, like, you've definitely heard it somewhere in passing, even if you don't recognize it.
I recognize the name. That's like
Yeah,
the biggest thing. I saw like, oh, I recognize this song, but I've never like, yeah, listen to it, like I may or may not have heard this somewhere.
yeah. It's. I mean, it's one of the most iconic songs of all time. When you ask people to name a Led Zeppelin song, I'd be willing to bet 9 out of 10 times they're gonna say "Stairway to Heaven." Probably,
I'm gonna be that 1%.
probably. Stairway to Heaven is one of Led Zeppelin's most famous recordings, with many considering it the greatest rock song of all time. I too many to choose from. Don't don't be doing greatest songs of all time. That's hard.
We should do that. April Fool's video.
Eventually, we have discussed
Greatest song of all time.
the idea of doing a bigger, like going back and reviewing our favorite songs potentially from every album that we've covered. Maybe we'll think
Yeah,
about it.
it'd be a fun episode if
Like a season break or something. We'll see.
yeah.
We got to cook something up. Um, the song "Stairway to Heaven" tells the story of a greedy woman who is overly optimistic about her unpromising future. She's kind of just hoping for the best while she's lost in life, and I don't know. That
Sounds like me.
yeah, I was gonna say that resonates a lot.
Other than the woman part, but yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, that resonates with me a lot. I don't know where I'm going in life, but I hope it's
Right
good.
now, I'm on a pretty decent path.
Yeah, yeah. I'm on a decent path where I'm at, but I'm still unsure what 1 year looks like, what 5 years looks like, 10. And I don't know. I just hope everything's gonna work out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The song resonated with a lot of young listeners at the time, opening up a door to a different realm of spirituality and transporting them into a more mystical view of life. And the lyrics for this song are very vague, very open to interpretation, and there are days I've listened to this song multiple times in the same day, and I felt different ways listening to it each time. Because that's kind of how it's meant to be. It's meant to
Yeah.
make you feel
Sounds
different
like
things, different ways, different times.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful track. Absolutely
Song
love
where
that
there's
track.
young listeners. I don't know how it doesn't resonate with us, Larry.
Well, we're old.
We got
Remember?
called old on
Yeah, I was
TikTok.
gonna say we got called
That's
old on the
crazy.
TikTok.
That's absurd,
Oh,
dude.
yeah,
There's
we'll never
no way.
recover.
But you
Never.
won't recover. I've been calling myself old ever since I turned 20. When I went back to Taekwondo, dude.
I'm never gonna recover.
Yeah, dude.
22 and I'm old, bro. Oh my god.
22 years old, baby.
Um, the next song I skipped the next two. Going to the seventh track on the album, "Going to California." The acoustic nature of the song. I remember the first time hearing it, and admittedly, I hadn't heard this one until I had listened to the album like fully in its entirety, and I don't know, the acoustic just makes me feel kind of empty inside. It's I don't know, very haunting in a way, I guess. Um, the song is about a man who leaves his current relationship after being mistreated by his partner in search of his quote unquote real love. But unfortunately, by the end of the song, the man realizes that the woman he has been searching for doesn't exist, and it's because she's unrealistically perfect. And I don't know if you've read The Great Gatsby, Brian, or if you know it, but it's
I know it. I've never read it. Never read it or seen anything about it.
same idea, and there probably is some inspiration from The Great Gatsby, because
Okay.
in the story, Gatsby is basically looking for his perfect dream woman, and kind of by the end of it, he realizes that that doesn't exist.
There are some similar things in
It's a popular trope.
around.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
popular trope.
It's
But
like yeah, yeah. There's always that but if I take it out of proportion, right? It's like, go to anime for example, right? Some romance animes are like, oh, I'm looking for this like perfect person, and they try to find someone, but turns out a quote unquote perfect person they were looking at was friends with them since they were 4.
yeah,
And they still choose another girl because a childhood friend never wins. Haha. Anyway.
classic, all-time classic.
Although there are like a lot of like light novels and animes about like, oh, the childhood friend finally wins. But they're so mid.
They're mid.
Personally, I think.
All right. I
Like,
mean,
no, it's
I
just
don't
like,
know.
well, I mean, all right. I'm a Rainbow for like 3 seconds, right? So like, it's like because in other anime, right, when they make the childhood character, they actually have make the childhood character actually have like a decent personality, and like like oh, like I don't really care. He could like people will be like, oh, I wouldn't mind if he went with a childhood friend or the main character. You know what I mean? But in these are like they're just making like the childhood friend as bleak and normal as possible, and being like, you're for me.
Okay.
So like, there's no special like personality or
Mm-hmm.
trope or anything. Not most of them, some of them. So ones I've watched have been like that, and I'm like, this is kind of like.
They need to go the
But
extra mile.
yeah, like the ones where the childhood friend loses are like, oh, she's like, she does all of this stuff for him. She's been trying forever, but she doesn't have the confidence to break what they have, so she doesn't ask, and she gets sad. And then in the other ones, she's like, I I just like you. I mean, I hang around. I hang around, but hang around. I listen to you. That's about it. They tried to do some things, but I mean, my
It's
opinion
not
doesn't really
enough.
matter.
They got to work harder.
Well, I mean, well, that's enough for the main character, but not for me.
They need
It's
you on the
like,
writing team.
no, that'd be awful. That'd be atrocious option to do. If I get
No
hired,
confidence.
I'm asking for minimum wage.
No confidence at all. That's crazy.
And no, I am so uncreative when it comes to writing stuff down. I can imagine so many scenarios of things in my head, but I could never write it
Articulate it.
down on paper. Yeah, like in my head, like yeah,
I mean, some
we're
people
gonna
are
keep
just like
going.
that. That's fair.
In my head, like for example, right, like me and my brother, right, we're about you see my brother. He's about basically me, except he has the middle, like us, like a
A side
this
part
basically. But it's like in my head, I can see me and him doing like a crazy like combat sequence. But in like, if I were to try to write it down or like try to like do it by like obviously like choreograph it, it just doesn't.
doesn't work like that.
Yeah, maybe that's it. That's it. I'm looking for the perfect choreography, perfect writing, and it's unrealistically perfect, so I can't find it. That's it. That's my going to California. That's over. That's
Guys,
over.
he's
That's
looped it
absurd.
back. He's looped it back. He's the greatest of all time.
Yeah, see, I'm good at writing. Minimum wage.
Give him a raise. Come on.
That's the wrong pipe.
Breathe, buddy. You can't die on camera.
Uh, you get so many views.
Yeah, until it gets
Brian dies
demonetized because you just
on
die.
record. Yeah, listening to Led Zeppelin. My last song ever will be.
Stairway to Heaven.
I was listening to When the Levee Breaks by Remastered.
Fair enough. Speaking of when the levee breaks, that's a great transition, Brian. Thank you.
Oh, well, coincidence. I'm listening to it right now, so.
It's perfect. It's meant to be. So when the levee breaks, this track, and I don't know how commonly known this is. This track is a rework of a 1929 song, also When the Levee Breaks. It is a blues tune by the couple Kansas Joe McCoy and Memphis Minnie. It was written about the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927, the most destructive river flooding in the United States history. A lot of history. And
Very, very, very okay. Okay. Very decent time ago.
almost 100
Almost
years.
100 years. Yeah.
The Great Mississippi River Flood of 1927 was the most destructive river flood in the history of the United States, with 27,000 square miles, that's 70,000 kilometers, under up to 30 feet of water, 9 meters, over the
That's kind of
course of
crazy.
several months. Not
Oh.
days, not weeks, months. It started in late 1926, like right around Christmas time, the river began to swell, and river levels did not return all the way back to normal until August, September of the following year.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh
You're
my God.
talking
That's almost a.
probably billions of gallons of water.
That's crazy.
If I could have this number a little wrong because I didn't write this one down, but if I'm not mistaken, the second highest ever like river swell, which I don't know if you know what a swell it means, but basically when flooding is happening and they talk about
Mm-hmm.
river swell, it's the difference in the water level between normal level and the peak of the flooding.
Yeah. Okay.
The There's a portion of the Mississippi River that was measured. The swell was like 53 feet. Could you imagine
50 feet is crazy.
almost 60
Holy
feet
crap.
of water just appearing in like the fraction of, I don't know, a couple hours? Because the whole thing with this flooding was it wasn't just like a bunch of rain happening all at once. Basically, the United States knew that there was going to be an issue with the Mississippi River flooding, so they built levees on both sides of the
Mm-hmm.
Mississippi to contain the water and let it get higher.
Yeah.
Well, when you put more water behind walls, more water, because the water's
The more
higher,
water comes up.
and eventually, if there's a lot of rain, a lot of flooding, and a very massive river system that runs the entire width or the entire length of the country, you're talking about a lot
Yeah.
of water. And when those levees began to break because of all of that water, it was devastating.
Yeah.
Um, the period cost, so the cost at the time in 1927 is estimated between 246 and $1 billion at the time,
Ain't
which
that much.
in today's money is 4.2 and 17.3 trillion dollars.
Yeah, that ain't that much.
You got that?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll pull out a blank check and be like, I have $3 to my name. Here you go.
Here you go.
On the table.
Unfortunately, due to the disaster, about 500 people lost their lives, and over 630,000 people were directly affected by the flooding, and even many of them had to stay in, what did they refer to them? Like foster camps, essentially, like outside of their towns and cities, and they were basically waiting for the flooding to reside, and many of them, it got to a point where it was just so bad and things were going to be a total loss that they just left and moved. They left
Yeah.
everything, and it's unfortunate, devastating.
Yeah. But like, same time, you gotta do what you gotta do. Can't just like
No, yeah,
wait forever.
at that point, like a massive disaster like that, it might just be better to just move on and move forward in life.
Mm.
Um, so when the levee breaks is probably the most subtle song on the album as far as production goes, at least according to guitarist and producer Jimmy Page. He says because and it's hard to notice, but if you pay attention, about every 12 bars in the song, something gets added or taken away so that every 12 bars sounds a little bit different. They use a lot of different effects on certain instruments, on the voice, um, phased vocals, and funnily enough, and it's kind of hard. This is probably my favorite one in there. If you listen closely, you can hear a backwards echoed harmonica solo. I don't know how it's backwards.
Where?
I'll show you after. I don't know how you I don't know how it's back. Like, is it played back? I don't know. I really don't know, but it's in there.
They just reversed it.
That's my guess. Like, they just played it backwards. That's my thought, but I don't know. Um, so that's everything, album wise, song wise. Brian,
Yeah.
yep. You have any closing thoughts before we get into the rest of the stuff?
Wild. It's all wild. No, but I don't know. Pretty cool information. Didn't know about the Wendell Levy breaks. I learned that about maybe an hour ago, cause from you.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's about it. Thinking of songs I've heard of before. That was a while ago, actually, but yeah, I've heard a few of these songs before. It's like, actually, funny story. So I was listening to this album at work, and I I hear something that sounds similar on the radio. So I take my AirPod out, and obviously someone has to blow the air hose in a way, so I can't hear anything. And once he stops, I hear the second. uh, I guess the second line of what lyrics from Black
From
Dog. I'm like,
Black
hell,
Dog,
hey,
yeah.
that's convenient.
Probably like right after you would listen to it too, because this album isn't very long if you were listening to
Oh no,
it.
I was listening to Stairway to Heaven at that time. I
Yeah,
remember.
so it'd probably
I
like
was
10
already
minutes
past
earlier,
it.
15 minutes earlier.
Yeah. Just wait a while by the way. So like, I was like, I haven't heard because when I listened to it, I was like, I have heard this song before, but
Hmm.
where?
It's a
I
good
know where
song.
now. I know exactly where it came from because I don't know I don't know who the vocalist or the lead singer is, but I that voice is. Oh, I like it.
Robert
I like it.
Plant.
Yeah, this guy's a foot. Oh, can't say that. He's got the plant.
Robert Plant is a plant. Big
Yep.
if true.
Good
Um,
old stock of corn, probably. No, he's English. A good old what plant is British?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yep.
anything about that
Good
country,
old
man.
good old tree.
Good old tree.
Solid, like a tree. I say rock. Made no sense. All right, moving on.
Brian,
Yeah, what's up?
got any favorite songs, man, from this album?
Yeah. So I liked Black Dog because well, I mean I've heard it before and I liked it.
Banger.
No new name of it, but now I do.
It's a great
I like
song.
rock and roll,
Another great song.
and I mean, yeah, I mean that's about it. I mean, it's close, but not really. But Stairway to Heaven is pretty up
Yeah.
there.
The two big
I've
standouts, though.
I think I have heard it before. I don't actually know, but when I listen to it, I'm like I don't recognize the song at all. But pretty good.
Yeah. Good
Going to
song.
California is pretty good too. Like I don't
Hmm.
know, most of it, not all of it, but most of it. How about you, Larry?
So for me, my favorite song on this album is When the Levee Breaks. I absolutely love that song. That song's great. I love and they use it's very subtle, but they slow the instruments down from the original version of the song in order to create that heavier sound. And while they slowed the instruments down, the vocals are still going the same speed. So the song kind of gets off a little bit. It's weird. It's I don't know. It's fun. I love that song so much. Black Dog, like you said, it's such a great song to open out an album. Great
Really
riff.
is.
Robert Plant's voice is just so iconic. It's so easy to recognize. I hear
Mm-hmm.
that song, I hear the opening riff, I hear the opening lyrics, and I'm ready.
We're
And
prepared
then,
for the song.
I mean, I would put Stairway to California or Stairway to
Stairway
California.
to California,
Oh, brother.
going to heaven.
Going to
Go
Heaven,
to probably.
Stairway to California in an alternate universe.
Yeah,
I would put Stairway to Heaven on my favorite songs list, but like, I mean, it's just it's such an iconic song already. It's a great song. Just know it's on there, but
yeah.
Going to California is my other like real favorite song on this album. It's another good song. It makes me feel strange. I don't know. I like it.
All right. Strange.
I don't know. It just makes me feel unnervy. I don't know.
That's all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Brian, I think I know the answer to this already. We do this every week. Any least favorite
Every week.
songs?
No,
Okay.
I don't dislike any songs.
I don't have any on this one either. And it's a shorter album, so like there's not a
Yeah.
lot to hate on anyway, but I don't
When
have a least
either
favorite
one
song.
of us actually dislikes one of the songs, it's gonna be somebody like that's gonna be the main point of the episode. And why do you hate the song? I don't know, bro. Just don't like
35
it.
minutes talking about why we hate it so much. So Brian, I think
Yeah.
we're ready.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna give this album out
Um.
of 10?
Yeah. I give it a 8.5.
8.5. Oh. I did not expect an 8.5, honestly. That's kinda
It's pretty good. I do like my rock and roll. Aside from what I cover week,
that's
it's not too bad.
hmm.
I do
That's
like I do like a decent amount of music. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm so surprised. I think it's mainly just because you didn't like, excuse me, you didn't like Pink Floyd quite as much. So I didn't expect this to get into the. I think maybe Wish You Were Here was like a 7.75 from you or something. Maybe an
Wish
eight
You Were Here was 7.
seven. Dang, so even
Dark
lower.
Side of the Moon is 7.3.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know. I just expected because this is, don't get me wrong, very different genres between the two bands, between Led Zeppelin and between Pink Floyd. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just expected you to not feel this one out as much, but An 8.5. I really do respect that.
I don't know. I don't know. It's not like nothing against any of the groups or anything, but it's just like I don't know. I just don't vibe with Pink Floyd. I
No,
guess I don't know.
that's perfectly
They're very
fine.
popular. Don't get me wrong. Like they have good music.
Hmm.
It's just they don't really. I don't really.
That's perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Like if you were to give me Black Dog versus what's a song off a Led Zeppelin album, Welcome to Machine or something like that, right? Like I'd probably put that over.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know what I mean? It's weird, but that's how I go off music. If I vibe with it, if I can mesh with it.
Hmm. Well,
Anyway,
so
what was yours?
you gave it an 8.5. I'm giving it a 9.25. I love this album. This is probably my favorite Led Zeppelin album. It's either this or
Oh,
Led Zeppelin 2. Both are very good. I don't know. I don't know. There's just something about this album that's always drawn me to it. I like the album cover. I
pretty cool album cover.
It's a cool album cover. I didn't know. I didn't know until I was doing my research for this that it was an untitled album. Um,
Mm.
but it just I don't know. It's fun. I want to get this album in vinyl or on vinyl because the vinyl cover's cool on the
All right,
backside. It tells
that's
more of a
great.
story about like society changing. It. I'll talk to you about it after, very briefly.
All right.
Anyway, Brian, anything else you want to cover this week?
Yeah. Uh, that's all I got, honestly. I'm not much to talk about.
All right.
I've spoken a total of more about anime and everything else than Led Zeppelin in this episode. So
That's okay. Admittedly, that's fine. That's kind of the vibes of these. That's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't got anything else either. So,
All right, cool. Let's
yeah,
leave. Out of here. Goodbye. Leave me Discord.
man, come on. If you guys have enjoyed this episode, leave a like, give us a rating on Spotify, Apple, subscribe on the YouTube, visit all our social medias in the link below, and we will see you guys next week. See
See
ya.
ya.